If you've ever spent time scrolling through the seemingly endless supply of passing plays on a Madden or NCAA video game, it can feel overwhelming. Are any of these real? What are these for? What do quarterbacks look for when running these plays in real life? These plays are actually not as random as they initially seem. You can generally place most passing plays into one of four categories: man beaters, horizontal stretches, vertical stretches, and triangle concepts. The first category is arguably the widest category: man beaters. These are routes that are designed to beat one-on-one coverage. This can range from isolated passing routes like a post or slant to choice routes where players can read the defense and adjust to how they're being covered. A classic example of a choice route is a comeback off a vertical concept. If a wide receiver sees that he cannot run past his defender, he might have the choice to come back and catch the defender off guard. There are seemingly infinite possibilities when it comes to these plays, so let's dive into films to see some more examples. Run-pass options do a great job of getting players isolated in one-on-one coverage. You'll often see wide receivers run post routes to take advantage of this coverage. Man-beater concepts aren't confined to individual routes. A commonly run play in all levels of football is the pick play. Similar to a basketball pick, one player runs into another player's man to make it difficult to follow him. Technically, pick plays are illegal. A player cannot run a route explicitly for the purpose of picking off a defender. However, coaches have crafty ways of integrating the pick concept into their plays. If you see two receivers crossing on a play diagram, it is most likely to run some kind of pick to confuse the defensive coverage. The mesh play, which is a staple for air raid teams, is a great example of this. Two players run shallow routes to create pseudo picks in the middle of the field. Another category of passing concepts is the horizontal stretch, and it's exactly what it sounds like. The offense sends multiple players about the same distance down the field and spreads them out. This places stress on a defense who is now forced to cover the entire width of the field. A good example of this is the four verticals concept. With four guys downfield at the same time, the defense has to commit four deep defenders or someone will be open. Another example of this is the hitches concept. Here the wide receivers run a few yards downfield and then settle in open space. This stresses this defender. Since he commits to cover the inside hitch, the outside receiver is open for an easy completion. This play is a variation of the vertical concept. Two receivers cross the line and attack this downfield zone. The safety is now put into a horizontal stretch where he can only defend one of these two routes. He gets caught in no man's land, which leaves this post wide open in the middle of the field. While this next play could also be placed in the next category, I put it in this one because of its similarity to the previous clip. Here the safety is put in a bind between defending this deep crosser coming over the middle and helping defend this deep post. This is very similar to the Mills concept, which is great at beating cover 4. Like horizontal stretches, vertical stretches are designed to stress a particular player, but as its name implies, you stretch him vertically instead of horizontally. This means the offense sends one receiver high and one receiver low in the same area of the field. One of the most common vertical stretch plays is the smash concept. As you can see in the smash concept, one player runs a corner route and one player runs a short hitch. This puts this corner into a high-low conflict, which is sometimes just called high-lowing the corner. If he drops to cover the corner route, then he's giving up an easy completion. If he comes up and takes away the hitch, then the quarterback will look to hit the corner route behind him. This is another example. Here the corner comes up and the safety isn't able to make it over in time to help. Another common vertical stretch concept is the drive concept. Here one receiver runs a deep in route, commonly referred to as a dig, and another receiver runs a shallow route underneath. As you can probably tell, this puts the linebackers in conflict. Either they can stay deep and help cover the dig, or they can come up and cover the shallow. In this play, they are further manipulated with play action, which forces the linebackers to stay up and allows a big completion down the field. For a decent chunk of football history, the route concepts I've already talked about comprised of all of the available passing route options. It wasn't until a guy named Bill Walsh came along in the 70s and flipped the script. Before him, the predominant offensive philosophy in football was to run the ball in hopes of pulling up the defense so they could pass behind them. Bill Walsh decided he would do the opposite. He would spread out the defense with a short passing game in order to open up running lanes. However, if he wanted to do this, he would need a more reliable way to consistently get short to intermediate routes open. This need sparked the invention of the triangle passing concept. These plays are designed to have routes that end with players in their own corner of an imaginary triangle. This allows offenses to stretch the defense vertically and horizontally at the same time. This might not sound very revolutionary, but this offense, known as the West Coast offense, is the offense that Joe Montana used to win 3 Super Bowls and helped Bill Walsh win the NFL Coach of the Year twice over the course of the 9 years he was in San Francisco. Let's look at how these concepts are still being used today by virtually every team in the country. The most straightforward example of a triangle passing concept is stick. It involves a fade or vertical route by the outside receiver, a short hitch by the slot receiver, called the stick route, and a bubble or shoot route by the running back. Notice here the triangle that these routes form. In this play, the quarterback reads this linebacker. Since he stays with his stick, the quarterback hits the running back out of the backfield. Notice that if the cornerback were to come down and help, it would leave the fade wide open on the outside. Teams often use this concept out of 3 receiver sets. The only difference is now this middle receiver runs an out route instead of the running back. Here the defense is playing off coverage, which gives LSU an easy completion on the stick route. Another commonly run triangle concept is snag, but some people also call it the spot concept. This has the slot receiver running a corner route, the back or inside receiver running to the flats, and the outside receiver running what's called a snag route. This is basically a slant where the receiver stops when he finds an open space. Again, you can see the triangle, and if you watch, every receiver is able to get open despite the defense having 7 men in coverage. While there's endless complexity in the modern passing game, I hope this helps simplify some of the things in this human chess match that we call football.